Hello, my name is Dean Contover, and this is The Current Buzz. Thank you for watching today. It's going to be a wonderful show. We have Kevin Dwyer. He's the executive director of the Lowell Folk Festival. Remember that? The Lowell Folk? Well, it's back. And he's going to make an announcement today in regards to the people that are coming to the Folk Festival. It's breaking news, so to speak. Is that right, Kevin?
That's right. We're excited to begin to finally announce our artists that we got coming to the festival.
Right. If you don't know, Lowell Folk Festival is a free festival in downtown Lowell. The last weekend in July, am I correct? It's the last weekend in July. Remember that. Put it on your calendar. Last weekend in July, free folk festival. There are 4 or 5 stages this year. I mean,
so in a typical year, there's 5 stages. They're scattered around downtown Lowell.
Right.
This year, because of a lot of logistical problems and staffing shortages throughout a lot of our partner organizations,
right,
we made the tough call to go from 5 stages down to 4 stages this year.
Right.
But in essence, we sort of cut our smallest stage, so we still get to have all of the big marquee acts that we normally would have in any given year.
Right.
So we're all treating this as an opportunity to refocus ourselves, try some new things out this year because it's going to be a little bit different. And I think we have some exciting changes that we're going to be able to pull off this year.
Okay, let's talk about the bands that you're going to announce on this show. Who's coming? At least, 3 bands that we know of?
Yep, we have 3 bands that we can go live with so far, but there's going to be about 18 artists that are going to be playing at the festival.
Okay.
So like I said, even though we're cutting a stage, we're still going down from maybe 20 or so artists only down to 18. So we're still getting a lot of that programming in. We didn't want to shortchange anyone with the types of program that we got.
Do you want to tell us what groups are coming?
Sure.
All right.
All right, let me just refresh myself really quickly.
So definitely go and see the festival if you're new to the area. It's almost as July 4th is a big thing in Chelmsford. Well, the big thing in Lowell is the Folk Festival. It's an ethnic festival, food.
It's a traditional arts festival.
It's traditional arts.
And there's a lot of different traditions that we're able to showcase at this festival. Music is definitely the big draw, but also traditional food. We also have craft, we have cooking demonstrations. So there's art, there's just a lot of noise and joyousness that comes. It's a celebration of the different traditions that all of our cultures have, and we all get to come together and celebrate them together.
Right.
So it's a great community
Let's
event.
go with the names of who's coming.
So we have Dale Ann Bradley,
okay,
who is an amazing Appalachian bluegrass artist.
Okay.
She's very rooted in the traditions of Appalachia and the bluegrass traditions there, and she's got a wonderful voice. She's a great storyteller.
I love bluegrass. So.
She's a good one. We've been wanting to get her for a while, and we finally were able to make things work. The stars aligned, and we're able to get Dale Ann. So
good.
We're very excited about that this year.
And number 2?
We also have Diuna Greenleaf and Blue Mercy. She is
what type of music?
She's a blues artist.
Okay, blues.
And that's sort of not telling the whole picture because Diuna is maybe one of the best blues vocalists I've ever heard.
No kidding.
She really just knocks the pants off of every performance that she has ever done. She's been doing it for a lot of years. She's from Texas. She's rooted in a lot of those Texas kind of blues traditions, but she's been touring all over. She won an international blues competition a number of years ago, and she's been in a very, very successful group ever since then. But really, she's got an amazing powerhouse vocal delivery, and she's a wonderful performer. I think the crowds are really going to get a lot out of her show.
Okay. Number 3?
We have Los Planeros y la 21, which is a Puerto Rican bomba y plena band.
Say that again?
Bomba y plena.
Okay.
It's a very interesting musical tradition. It's a Puerto Rican traditional dance type music. So it's got a lot of kind of like Afro-Caribbean kind of sounding rhythms, but it's a very electric, exciting kind of performance. So we've had a couple of different similar sort of genres at the festival over the years, and it's always a barn burner of a show. People get up and dance, even if you get people who are like me, maybe you're a little Irish or a little Italian, and maybe you're not that familiar.
I thought you were American. Yeah.
But if you're not that familiar with Bomba y Plena, it doesn't matter because the music that they play truly transcends all borders, and everyone gets together and dances.
When you say the Puerto Rican band, is this salsa type of music, or is this more traditional
It's related.
It's related, okay.
You know, salsa has a lot of traditions.
Right.
They share a lot of common threads
Right.
from the beginnings of how those genres came together.
Right.
But it's a little bit different. There's a couple of things that are different about bomba y plena compared to salsa. You know, we've had salsa bands in the past before.
Right.
But it's slightly different. But generally speaking, if you're not familiar with bomba y plena, but you know what salsa is, it's going to be that type of energy that they're going to be bringing. So it's going to be exciting.
So is there anybody else that we should know of? You said you had 3 bands so far.
That's all we can go public with right now,
Okay.
but we're actually excited to start planning the next phase of our marketing for the festival, where we get to go live with everybody else.
You said there was a shortage of staff. Do you mean shortage of staff in general, or do you mean a shortage in volunteers? And how would somebody become a volunteer if watching the show? How can they contact you and become a volunteer?
Well,
Because you need volunteers.
oh, big time.
Yeah.
To answer your question, it's yes.
Okay.
There are staffing shortages with a number of our partner organizations, and that's really tough to get around. But also, volunteerism has been down for a couple of years. And that's not just us in Lowell. You know, we also work with some partner organizations that do other folk festivals that are similar to us around the country. And they all see volunteerism is down across the board at all of these festivals. So this year, we really want to make an extra special effort to get people excited about the festival, where they can volunteer and be a part of the event.
I have a suggestion. Reach out to some of the high schools like Billerica High School, Chelmsford High School, Tewksbury High School.
Sure.
And they have programs that the children have to volunteer to do something in the community, and maybe they can get credit that way. So if you
Sure.
called the superintendent or the principal of the schools and see, or put out a bulletin or something, or email or whatever, and get volunteers, because I know you get volunteers from Lowell High School.
Oh yeah, we get volunteers from all over.
Oh, do you too?
And we get a number from all different age groups. There are people who saw the very first National Folk Festival take place in Lowell in 1987.
That's me, 1987. I go back that far. Oh boy.
And some people volunteered all the way back then, and they just fell in love with being a part of the festival, and they've done it every single year ever since. And it's crazy to me to think that someone would have that kind of dedication to an event, but people really do have that, and they really love this event, and they love being a part of it.
There are people who come up specifically from Greater Boston, for the weekend to go to the folk festival.
Oh yeah, and that's by design. You know, we want to bring in people from all over New England,
Right.
not just from Boston, not just from the Greater Merrimack Valley region, but we want people to come from all over so that they can see all that Lowell has to offer, so that they can see, you know, the people and get involved in the community, and they can say, wow, you know, Lowell's come up in the last couple of years. This is a great place to visit. There's a lot going on here. It's an exciting place, and that gets them to come back.
Yeah,
I've heard from a number of people that live in Lowell now, and they say, you know, I've been living here for a couple of years, and I'd never been to Lowell before until I went to the Lowell Folk Festival. And then I saw it, and I fell in love, and then they ended up moving there a couple of years later. So that's the kind of thing that we're trying to get. We want people to see Lowell for what it can be, which is, you know, a really great and vibrant city.
Now, Lowell has a new city manager, Tom Golden.
Yeah.
Have you spoken to him yet about the folk festival?
I haven't gotten a chance to talk with Tom Golden yet, but I'm excited to. I just want to congratulate him and, you know, welcome aboard, and excited to work with him as much as possible.
I would think he would be the type of guy to go to the folk festival and talk to people while he's at the folk fest. That's the type of guy he is.
Oh, everything I've heard about Tom Golden, he's all about folk festival and just meeting and talking with people, enjoying themselves. I mean, it's hard not to have a good time at the folk festival. There really is something for everyone.
What I want to talk to you about is this: the minutia of the folk festival, how it operates. How do you get these people to come to the folk festival? What's the background? Do you pay them? Do you offer them food? Do you offer them a place to stay? Or they can't come because it's not in they're not in New England, so to speak, so they can't come? Or do they come, let's say, from Colorado to the folk festival that weekend? And they don't play once, they can play 2, 3, 4, 5 times at different venues in the folk festival. Is that correct?
Right. So it's a long process.
Okay, let's talk about that because most people don't know the process. So I want to know.
There's a lot that goes into it.
Okay, I'm
So
sure.
the Lowell Folk Festival is produced by 6 producing partner organizations.
Okay.
So I'm the executive director of the Lowell Festival Foundation.
correct.
That's one of the
The
producing
foundation?
partners. Yeah, the
Okay.
Lowell Festival Foundation.
Okay.
So I help coordinate the logistics planning, the implementation of all the different things that have to happen at the festival.
What experience did you have to do that? I mean,
Well, I worked at the Lowell Summer Music Series for a number of
okay.
years before then.
Oh, really?
So I was already working as an employee of the foundation, and I was able to apply for the job. And then
okay.
after a lengthy interview process, we sort of deemed that I had the stuff to
Yeah.
go in there with the institutional
The gumption
knowledge.
to-
I already knew how the festival worked to a certain extent. I had been working as a stagehand at the Boarding House Park stage for a number of years before I
see.
got this job.
I see.
So I've really been one of the boots on the ground type guys, putting the actual effort into the production. I was on the stage, plugging the microphones in, moving pianos around the stage to get people on and off.
yeah.
So I've seen,
so that was you
yeah, that
without the beard. Okay.
Yeah, so that's, so my organization does a lot of the fundraising, a lot of the coordinating and the planning and everything
Okay.
like that. But the National Council for Traditional Arts is a nonprofit based in Silver Spring, Maryland. And they are a folklorist and traditional arts organization. And they're the group that actually originally brought the National Folk Festival to Lowell in 1987.
Yeah, the National Folk Festival goes from city to city in the country.
Yep.
I think it's in Maryland this year, if I recall.
It's in Salisbury, Maryland this
Salisbury,
year.
Maryland. Okay.
I believe this year is going to be the final year of that festival. Then it's going to move on to the next host city
Okay.
for another 3 years, and
I
they'll
see.
keep the tradition going.
I see.
But yeah, that's how it all started. The National Council for Traditional Arts, the NCTA, let's call them, because their organization is great, but it's a little bit of a mouthful.
Right.
Their old executive director, Joe Wilson, who's this wonderful guy, very passionate about the arts and about traditional music. He was looking for a new site for the National Folk Festival back in the mid-'80s. Then he came to Lowell, and he was looking around, and he was walking around the downtown area. He met with some local people that had worked on other smaller festivals, and
Okay.
they were going around town thinking like, oh yeah, that could be a stage, and that, yeah. So that he was putting the whole thing together with them, and basically the NCTA had brought the National Folk Festival to us in Lowell for 3 years, and then once they left to go do the national in another city, it was up to the people of Lowell to decide, do we want to do this? And the answer was unanimously yes.
Right.
It was a big success. It was a lot of fun. A lot of the people that had worked so hard for the 3 years to make the festival happen loved it, and they wanted to keep it going.
Okay.
And actually, a number of those people that were involved from those very early days are still involved in the festival even now.
Right.
A lot of them are on the advisory board for my foundation. They're still involved. They're still, doing whatever needs to get done, volunteering their time and helping out the festival each and every year.
Wow.
So there's a lot of dedicated people that are involved in this.
Okay, behind the scenes, what happens when you want a group? Who makes the decision you want this group or that group to come? You don't want repeats, right? Not usually.
Right. We usually try to go a couple years between having repeat artists.
Right. Okay.
But the NCTA, they have a team of crack traditional music experts. And they come up with a list every year. It's a very, very long list.
Okay.
And they come up with music examples. They bring CDs. They bring YouTube videos or performance examples. And they come up to Lowell. They fly up from Washington, D.C. for a day for a big meeting we have with our programming committee, which is a large group.
Is it public? Can I go to it, or
It's
or
not
do I have
public,
to
unfortunately.
do I have to bring press credentials to sit in on it?
Not yet, but if we have an opening in the programming committee, I can throw you an invitation.
Oh, okay. All right. That's
It's a very coveted group.
Yeah,
because
okay.
It's fun. We meet once a year. Like I said, the NCTA flies up from Washington, and they give presentations, and we all just get to sit around, and we get to listen to music and listen to all these different types of music and decide.
Imagine that. Listen to music.
It's
and you get paid for
It's
it.
a brutal 8-hour day. We're just listening to
I bet,
music.
I
We're
bet.
just talking about music.
Yeah,
who
yeah.
we want to bring to town. It's a really fun time.
Mm-hmm.
But we will usually have 3 artists per genre of music. So for that year, the NCTA will put together a list of, say, here's 3 artists in the blues category that we think are all real slam dunks, and we got a good shot at booking them for this upcoming year. Then they play samples from all 3 of those artists, and as a group, we get to sort of discuss it, deliberate a little bit, then we all make a vote on, maybe our favorite, our second favorite, our third favorite, just so the NCTA can know out of these three, who's the overwhelming favorite that they would want to pursue first.
Right.
And then once they do that for, 20-something genres of music, then the NCTA has their list, and they go forth and they talk to agents, they talk to managing groups about getting, deals struck for the artists. And once the deals are struck, that can include any sort of combination of payments, like you were saying. It's, not only a deposit that's paid, but also it might be a per diem for food, it might be travel expenses for flights or hotel stays.
Right, that's understandable.
Food at the
Who picks them up at the airport?
Festival Foundation volunteers do.
Oh, volunteer? Okay.
So we have a whole crew of folks that, again, it's one of those jobs that people really love doing.
Right.
They come every year and they just love driving the vans from Logan to Lowell and back and forth all weekend, bringing people to and fro.
Do they, the question I have is, do they stay at the convention center, the UMass Lowell Convention
Yeah,
Center?
the Inn and Conference Center.
Conference Center, okay.
So that's the host hotel for all of the artists
see.
and the staff. And they all get to stay there, which is a great central location because you get to walk to any stage that you want. You're really in the mix.
Yeah.
You're in the middle of everything.
You know what I liked about that, especially when they had the National Folk Festival, that the guys got downstairs and girls started jamming together, and they were just playing music, ad lib with each other, and they got to know each other.
Yeah,
it was pretty cool. I thought.
We have famous Saturday night parties for staff, artists, and volunteers. It's always at the host hotel, and it's a closed door event, but it's for those people that are really involved in working the festival that weekend. And it's great. We have like an open mic night kind of setup on stage where there's a drum set and a keyboard, maybe a couple of guitars and a bass and some microphones. And we encourage the performers to get up there and just jam, do whatever they want.
Yeah, that's great.
And sometimes you'll get a band to come up and they do a reprise performance. They do a couple of songs from their set. But what's more interesting is when one artist from one band will come up and start playing something, then another artist from another band gets up, and so on.
Yeah,
and so
that's
forth.
what I enjoyed.
You get a combination of five people. Maybe it's a Celtic accordionist is playing with a bomba y plena drummer, and then the gospel bass player is up there, and like an R&B singer is singing on
That's
top
much
of all
better.
of it.
Just jamming like that.
It's so fun.
Yeah.
You get a combination of music and musicians that are together up there
Yeah.
that you really don't get to see anywhere else, and it's really exciting.
What do they say when they come to Lowell after the event? What do they tell you about the folk festival in Lowell?
Oh, they love it. They love coming up to Lowell. This
They
event
do.
has a very large pedigree. We've been doing it for a number of years. People are aware of it, and I hear it more from people that haven't played Lowell yet. Maybe they're doing
You're kidding me.
Maybe they're doing the Richmond Folk Festival or some other folk festival that I might happen to be at, and I'll tell them who I am, who I work with, and they say, "Oh, you got to get us into Lowell. We've heard of Lowell. We want to get there." So there's an excitement from the artists that they all want to come to Lowell and be a part of it and see what it's like. Because having been to several other folk festivals, other admission-free folk festivals that are similar to ours, I can say Lowell has a vibe that's unique to itself. It's definitely a unique atmosphere.
It is.
There's
It's
a lot that's different about Lowell than some of the other festivals.
Right.
The other festivals are really good. They have a lot of other good things going on, but just the feeling is unique in Lowell. It's a special time.
Remember, Lowell Folk Festival, it's free, and it's free. The food is not free. Let's talk about the food, the ethnic food. My favorite one is the Filipino food that I eat when I go there, and it's usually in the same location.
Yep, the Filipino booth, they're coming back this year. They're already
good.
confirmed, so everyone can breathe a sigh of relief. The Filipino food booth will still be
Yeah.
there. That's a favor for a lot of people,
Yeah.
actually. So
So you have what? Greek, Armenian, hamburgers and hot dogs.
we got Greek food, Armenian, Polish, Filipino, Lao food, Cambodian food, Jamaican. I'm going to do a disservice if I try to list every single one of them and forget one or two, so I'll just leave it at that. But
Don't eat too much. That's what I tell people. Or don't eat at all. Eat a little bit from each venue and try.
Well, what people have started to post on social media, they cracked the code. They come to the Folk Fest now with empty Tupperware containers. So they'll go to the Filipino booth and buy, a bunch of egg rolls and just put them in Tupperware so that they can bring them home at the end of the day.
You're kidding me.
And
Is
so they
that
can
right?
freeze them and, have them months
yeah.
later. So that's great. So you can just keep loading up on food. It's a great time to,
Wow,
get your fix
I didn't
later.
know that. I'll have to watch this time. Now, politicians come to the event. I've seen them there. That's okay to come to the venue. Is it open door policy, or do they have to check in with you?
We like people to check in with us first.
Okay.
And it's a little bit different in a campaigning year.
Right.
Obviously, because when we usually have our kickoff parade on Friday night, it's a great celebration where a lot of folks from the community get together and
Right.
get to, wave their country's flag and march down the streets, and it's a fun celebration. And it ends with a small speaking program at Boarding House Park before the festival officially kicks off.
Okay.
That's where we get a couple of officials to go up there and say a few
Okay.
words to the crowd. And
Like the city manager?
yes,
Yeah, okay.
city manager or the mayor,
Okay.
depending on who may or may not be campaigning, that
Right.
might also affect, because we can't have people that are actively campaigning during the festival. That's not
Right.
really what it's about.
Right.
There are,
They're allowed to come, but they're not allowed to campaign. Is that what you're saying?
that's right. Well, everyone's allowed to come.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Everyone can always
Yeah.
come. And there are
Yeah.
First Amendment areas at the festival, so for political organizations, that's how they can be on site
I
and
see.
get involved. There's a couple of First Amendment zones that are throughout the festival footprint. That's where they can go for that. But when you're at the stage at Boarding House Park, it's all about just the evening. It's about enjoying the music
Right.
and the performance and just getting together. It's that celebration of traditional cultures that I mentioned before. That's what it's all about.
Right. And usually the last weekend in July, put that on your calendar. It's usually hot and muggy sometimes, and not usually raining, so that's a plus. And parking is available for everyone. You can go on the website, right, the Folk Festival website, to see where you could park. And
Yep.
anything else I'm forgetting? I mean,
Well, lowellfolkfestival.org, it's got a lot of information.
Okay.
You can find the parking information there. There's 4 or 5 garages now, city garages, so there's plenty of parking that's available for people.
Right.
There's also a shuttle that takes folks from the Gallagher Terminal down the street to the
oh, is that right?
areas.
From the Gallagher Terminal
Yeah.
train station? If you're coming up from Boston, you get up, and every time the train comes in, there's somebody there waiting for them.
Yep, so people can get bused and shuttled to the downtown area, so you can come from
That's
Boston.
cool.
You can come from downtown Boston and not have to hop in a car. You can go
Yeah.
right there just via public transportation.
Oh, that's cool.
We try to make it easy on
Yeah,
folks whenever we can.
Just make sure you have good walking shoes, because you're going to
Yeah.
be doing. You said there's going to be only 4 stages. Which one are you eliminating?
So we're essentially cutting the smallest stage, which traditionally was at the Market Street location. There's a little park on Market Street. And what we're doing this year is we're essentially moving the dance stage location, which used to be in that big parking lot on Dutton Street. Now we're moving it to the street on Arcan Drive, right next to where the old JFK stage used to be.
Oh, okay.
So the dance stage is going to be there now.
Okay.
And we want to move that JFK stage to where Market Street was. All right, so we're essentially cutting the small stage and we're making it bigger on Market Street.
I see.
So we're also having the normal stages that we've always had at Boarding House Park and St. Anne's.
Right.
So it's going to be those 4. But we're excited to have the big dance stage tent set up on the street on Arcan Drive. There's going to be a food court with our ethnic food vendors on the plaza itself right next door. So we're hoping it'll be a nice kind of food court atmosphere that people can go and sit and eat for a while and still hear the music. And similarly at Market Street, we're going to be set up on the street now with a new stage that we're getting. And it's going to be larger, be able to accommodate bigger bands than we've had before.
Cool.
And the park itself will have our food vendors or kind of
I
food court
see.
area.
I see.
So it'll be a nice shady, grassy space where
Yeah.
you can go and get some rest and some good food.
Yeah, and there's trees there, so people can sit under the trees.
It's a little bit shady.
Yeah, a little shady. Yeah, which is very important in the end of July, right?
Yep, you got to pace yourself.
In 2016, I went down to see King Sunny Ade. He was a Nigerian musician with his band, internationally known. How'd you get him? How'd you steal him to come to the Lowell Folk Festival?
So in 2016, the festival is celebrating its 30th anniversary.
Right.
And we were able to secure some extra funding so that we could make a special occasion out of our 30th birthday. And because we had some extra money and funding, we were able to go after some dream artists, people we thought maybe we could never get. And we were able to reach out to King Sunny Ade. It worked out that he happened to be coming to America on a small tour anyway, so we were able to have him add a stop at the Lowell Folk Festival. And it was great. He's an international superstar.
Right, he is.
Super lucky to have him. His
Yes.
band was incredible. I was actually working